Okay.
You're live and I'm live.
I am Linda Deir, and this guy right here
is Ray Hawley, the director of digital delivery behind the scenes.
Yeah, Ray. Okay, so anyway, we're always glad to have you guys. And tonight, we're going to be talking about the guided journal writing system. This is about how you make the connection to your spirit guides and angels, okay? So you know it's them when they come through, as opposed to it coming through you, coming from you, where you don't know how to discern between the two. This is really the point in teaching you guys to do this, because once you know the difference, you're going to instantly know what to do and when to do it. All right. So the guided journal writing system consists of 3 books. Guided, my true life story about how I did this, about my journey and how I learned and realized I was being guided from the beginning of my life, even before I was 20 months old. Then part 2 of the guided journal writing system is my guided journey. And this is where you take the journey back to reclaim yourself, because what happened to everybody got traumatized in their early life from one degree to another. All right. Something happened along the way that caused you to freeze up and remove yourself from the situation, and you never really totally came back, or maybe you stayed completely gone, all right, because it was so frightening to you, whatever happened in this world. Part 2 will bring you back into the picture and heal that child, that child that got stuck in time, that causes you to do things now that is not to your highest good, all right, but you can't seem to stop it. That's part 2. And we have part 3. Part 3 is the journal writing system. Still part 2? Okay. Is the journal writing system. They really look kind of like. And in the journal writing system, that's your journey forward. Okay, part 3. That's after, once you take the journey back and you've reclaimed yourself, and you're no longer just in this world, okay? You are now connected to yourself and to your guides, okay? Now you are co-creating your life, and when you get guidance, you know when it's coming from them, when it's guidance, and how to integrate it into this life and move on that. Take the action. You know, you guys, I just want to say that if you get guidance and you go, oh, I got this really great guidance, oh, I had this dream, it was really amazing, but you don't act on it, it's nothing more than entertainment. It doesn't make your life better. It doesn't change your life for the better. It doesn't bring you to a place where you can live the life you intended before you got here. It doesn't empower you. Okay, so that's what this system is designed to do. Guided is part 1. My guided journey is part 2. And my journal writing is part 3. Okay.
Now, some people get their guidance and they say, oh yeah, my guides gave me some insight on that, and it didn't work out. And then a lot of times you ask them the question, well, how long did you wait between the time you got the guidance and the time you
took the action?
I
didn't take any action.
About a year.
Or no, I didn't take any action. And then I thought about, maybe that would have been a good thing to do, because I saw how it would have played out. Well, it would have played out. Okay, it already played out.
Yeah, or they waited too long.
And it's not a bad thing that you didn't play it out, you guys. Here's what you're going to notice. I don't want you to be hard on yourself, because there's going to be times when you're going to feel that way. When you take and you write down what guidance came through to you, we're going to be talking about today is about the 4 qualifying questions that always provide clarity. All right. That's part 3. I want to mention one other thing before I move on. Part 2 is primarily about taking the journey back, reclaiming yourself, healing those early traumas in your life so that you're now functioning fully in this world. You're not afraid to be back here because this part of you isn't so dominant that it squelches this part of you, okay? So this is the primary part of this, is taking the journey, just like I took the journey in my life. Okay. Part of part three is in this book. There's 20 pages for journal entries at the end of the book, which is part 3. Part 3 is all journal entries. It's all journal writing. Okay. But we put 20 pages in this book so you could get started. Because what happens in part 2, where you take the journey back, many people, they flip through the pages and they breeze through it, and they get a scan of what part 2 is about, and they go, whoa, I remember some of this stuff, and it feels like it's a lot for me it's traumatizing, okay, to go back and recall that and then to write it in here. When you start working in part 3, I want you to talk about where you are, and this is what we're going to do today. We want you to talk about where you are right now in your life. Okay, we are going to sneak up on part 2. Okay, and when you start writing in part 3, and you start realizing where you are right now in your life, you will be able to go back into part 2, and it won't be nearly as challenging. Okay, that's why we start in part 3. All right.
So all of this guidance starts with a what. What happened? What did you hear?
Right.
What was it that, I like to call them in my life intuitive flashes, little flashes of genius that I think popped into my head. I could have been waking up or in the shower or driving. Dreams. Yeah, a lot of times. Well, I think your guides really like to communicate with you in your dreams, especially early on when you're learning how to do this. And people don't write their dreams down. A lot of people.
Well, it's because you don't see. We grew up in a world where nobody valued these things.
Right.
That's where everything got off track here. All right. So let me just say this. What are the 4 qualifying questions that always provide clarity? And let me read a couple of paragraphs I wrote about on this one as a starting point to get you guys moving that way. All right. Ray, who do we have with us before I start?
We have
going?
Kimberly and Patty and Ray Holly.
So who wrote the message in there?
Kimberly says, I've been writing down all of my dreams, and all the experiences I have been having lately has really been helping me to remember what signs to listen for and to look for when my guides are talking with me or asking me to take action now to help me in my life. That's good.
That's exactly what you need to do. Okay, I'm going to give you guys a system to do this from that's specific. All right. And I want you to get your journals out. Grab your journal, My Guided Journey, grab it out, and go to part 3, the My Journal Writing part of the journal, okay? Because that's where we're going to be working in today. And I'm going to go to part 3 right now. Okay, it's open. I'm going to read this first. The 4 qualifying questions that always provide clarity. Today, we will focus on part 3 of the guided journal writing system to define how this journal writing will change your life. When something unusual or out of the ordinary happens, it is important. That's guidance, you guys, when it's out of the ordinary. You know that didn't come from you. It came through you. It was laid down on your path for you to notice, okay? In fact, it's much more important than you will realize at the moment these occurrences happen. This is guidance. That is why you must write it all down in your journal, specifically My Journal Writing. That's the page we're working on today, the part 3 of the journal. Or you will miss it. It is the message in what happened that's being conveyed, and not always literally what happened. Okay? See, you won't know what that is until you write it down. And then when you see it on paper, you'll go, whoa, I see something I didn't see before. I never would have seen it had I not written it down. So let's get to work. Part 3, open your journals. What I want you guys to do today is I want you to think of the thing that something that came to you most recently. I want you to talk about where you are right now in your life. Could have happened a week ago, could have happened today, could have happened a few days ago, but it happened recently. And it's going to be the first question here is, where did you get this guidance? Did it come to you in a dream? What you're going to write about here. Were you walking somewhere when it came up? There's little check boxes for you to check off here for whichever one this was. Were you driving somewhere and you got that insight, that message? Were you in the shower and all of a sudden you had a genius idea come into your head? It didn't come from you. It came through you. Do you remember what it was? Write it down. Washing your hands. Anytime you put your hands or body in the shower, your hands underwater or any part of your body in the water, it wakes you up. It wakes you up to this guidance, okay? This other world. Did it come from a song that you hadn't heard in 30 years or something like that? Why now? From a person that walked up to you and just blah, 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 said something. And it was really relevant. You didn't say anything to them, and maybe you never saw them again. Okay, that kind of thing. Or something you said to them. Maybe it came out of you to them instead of them to you. It goes both ways. Were you daydreaming when it came through? Were you in a self-talk moment, and all of a sudden you realized, I'm talking to somebody. What's that about? Okay, write that in here. Were you using Ask the Universal Channel to communicate with your guides, and you got some amazing information? Was that what it was? Check the box it applies to here, because they're all little check boxes in front of them. Or was it something else? Was it something other? Write in there if it was something other, okay? Now that you've identified where it came from, how it came through, what came through, that's what Ray was talking about earlier. What was it? That's number 3. Write down what it was. Okay. I'm going to need you guys to put this into the stream so we can talk with you about it. And then afterward, I want you to make sure you don't forget to write these things into your journal, all right? But write down what it was, and we want to know where you got the guidance, okay? And once you write down what it was, I want you to, on number 2, I want you to answer, how did you know this guidance came from us? That's your spirit guides and angels. How come you knew it came from them? Was it a knowing? There's a checkbox for that. A checkbox for, did you hear it? Was it hearing? A checkbox for seeing? Was it something you saw that triggered you? That made you realize something instantly? And that's how you know this guidance came from your guides? Or was it a physical sensation? You know how you get that chill? You get that, you just know it, you feel it, there's something that comes through, okay? And then describe it, okay? If it's none of those, describe what it was that made you know that this guidance came from us, your spirit guides and angels. So I'm waiting for you guys.
Okay, Kimberly, go ahead and write something down. Just pick one of the things that you've written down recently.
Right.
Write it in the feed there, and we can work with that.
We're going to work with that, Kimberly. Kimberly's on her game.
I got one. I just wrote one down.
Ray, what did you write down? It's great. While we're waiting for all of you to write in the feed what you got, what it is, I want to hear what Ray has to say.
Okay. So what was it? So we've been building up to your live on location event coming up Saturday, right? for weeks now.
Right. It's coming Saturday. Right.
Right. So this was maybe a week or so ago, not too long, week and a half.
That's
10,
perfect.
10
That's
days
perfect.
ago.
Mm-hmm.
And what was it? I was waking up. Okay. That's how it appeared.
Okay.
I'm laying there.
So you're coming out of your sleep.
Coming out of my stupor,
Your sleep.
Yeah, my sleep. And I get a flash. It just hits me that there were several things that we needed to take to your live event that we already had packed, but we needed backups of those things in case something happened.
Now, Ray, let me ask
These were like wires, cables,
Let me ask you
adapters.
something. Was this you after you woke up? You started thinking about these things?
No, I just woke up. It popped right into my head.
Okay, perfect. That's perfect. Because if you lay there and you think about this stuff and you think it's coming through you, that would have been coming from you, not through you. Okay. So Ray got this feeling and it came through him. So this is appropriate.
Right. So it started off with, well, you're going to need an extra one of those just in case that one fails. But if that's hooked up to another thing that if it fails, you need another one. And then something else,
I remember you telling me
right.
this.
So,
right.
All right. So it appeared. How did it happen? It just appeared in a flash.
Right.
And it kind of cascaded into, well, there's another thing, there's another thing, there's another thing.
It was in the twilight, Ray.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was waking up. I get that flash that I needed to take some extra things to your event. And how did it make me feel? Well, I felt relieved that I remembered that something awful could have happened.
Okay, did you remember it, Ray? See, he's taking credit for it now. This is what you don't want to do. You felt relieved that you got the information.
Right.
That you got the insight.
Right, because that could have caused
a problem.
Right, that's the realization.
Because
we could have had a real problem.
This is Ray's burden. See, Ray has to handle this part of the project. It's his burden. So of course the guidance comes to him to make him aware of these things, right?
Right. So what I realized is that, well, we could have had a real problem if we didn't have these things.
Right.
So what action did I take? Ran right to Amazon and ordered them.
I remember him doing it, you guys. That's exactly what. Okay, but before you jump from getting the information, Ray, that's jumping and writing it down. That's the first thing.
Right.
The 4 qualifying questions are: write it down.
I did.
How did it feel?
I felt relieved.
You felt relieved. And what did you realize?
Realized that we could have had a real problem if we didn't have those things.
There you go. And that's how you write it down. And then rate the action you took. You went out.
Amazon.com. Click that button.
Do we have those parts now?
Yeah, they came in like 2 days.
Come here, Ray. Good job.
So
see that guy? I love that guy. Okay.
But, I really would have felt bad if you hadn't gotten the guidance, and we got there, and this cord was too short, or that adapter didn't fit this.
I know. There's a lot of little pieces and parts to it, Ray.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay, so that's a perfect example of how you use the 4 qualifying questions that provide the clarity, critical clarity. And what this clarity that Ray talked about, that he acted on, was timely. I want you guys to know that when you get guidance, how they say, when you get intuition, it's not really, it's not really good with timing. Throughout my book, Guided, as I told my life story, about the guidance I received time and time again at just the right time of when to get in and out of a situation at any given time at the right time, Businesses got in them at the right time, got out of them before markets crashed and broke and everything. Because we live in volatile times, you guys. And if you're not on your game, you might be doing really well and turn around and you're broke the next day because the market went against you. Okay,
Kimberly wrote down something, and if we should be able to work with this.
Okay.
Maybe we have to expand on this.
Okay.
So she's starting to actually recognize that their guidance, even though I thought it was just a fear-based thought that she gets sometimes.
Okay, go ahead.
And what she got was the message said that my father needed help, but I ignored it. And then when she got home, So she wasn't around her father.
Okay.
She was gone somewhere, and she got the message that her father needed help.
Okay.
But she ignored it. She didn't act on it right away, but she ignored it. When she got home, her father told her that she had to give her mother the Heimlich maneuver because she was choking on a pork chop.
Now who had to give who the what?
The father had to give the mother the
Okay.
Heimlich maneuver because she was choking. The father needed help.
No, the father needed help.
Right.
How come he needed help?
Maybe he didn't do it right or didn't know how to do it. Or,
he was concerned he wouldn't be able to perform on it.
yeah.
So he was putting out an SOS
Yeah,
psychically,
right.
and you caught that
Yeah.
that SOS.
That's good.
Okay, so then what?
Well, she got home and she instantly made that connection now.
Okay, right. Okay, so
That's like a psychic SOS. That's good.
right, because that's what it is. Sometimes you get them like that, and it's kind of creepy. You go, oh my God. I had one with my mother-in-law where she came out to visit us in California. She lived in New Jersey, and she, at the time, and she was getting on a plane to go home, and I woke up. She was going to the airport early in the morning. I think she took the shuttle to the airport. It must have been 5 o'clock in the morning, so we were still sleeping. And I woke up and got the creepiest feeling about a problem with the plane. And somehow I got a hold of her. I don't know how I got a hold of her because we didn't have cell phones then, or did we?
Yeah, you did.
Right at the beginning of it. Okay,
Yeah.
got a hold of her, and I told her what I had the feeling about, and about her flying home on that airplane. And she told me they canceled the flight because there was a problem with the plane. And she had got stuck at the airport waiting for her next flight like 4 hours later. She was pretty aggravated by that. But I told her, I said, there was a problem with that plane. And sure as could be, there was. So
who sent you that message?
I woke up with it, right?
I know, but where did it come from?
It came.
Did she send it to you, or did your guide send it to you?
It came through a dream.
Okay.
I had a dream about it. And my guides came to me through my dream to show this to me and wake me up at the same time so I could take action on what I got. That's the whole point to this stuff. And I could have sat back and said, well, I'm going to sound like an idiot if that doesn't turn out to be true. What was more important, me looking like an idiot or something happening to her? And I loved my mother-in-law, all right? She was like, I adopted her as my real mom. She was really a cool lady, and we had a really good connection. I never would have forgiven myself if I hadn't stepped up and, acted on that. I frankly don't care what people think about me, you guys. That's one part of this where if you worry about what they're going to think about you, really give it up, because that's going to stop you out every time. All right. Come on Tuesdays, because I'm going to help you every week that we do this on Tuesdays. Tuesdays are about the Linda's Weekly Guided Insights. It's about being inspired, being aware. Okay. On Wednesdays, it's about being rewired. Okay. Cutting out all this stuff that you would usually get in your way from before, about what people think, or what maybe you think of yourself. That could be scarier. I hope it's not, but okay. So then what you do is Kimberly, is you talk about how it felt. Okay. So you know what it was. And as far as how you got the guidance, I would say that guidance just came through intuitively. It just popped into your head. So part one, right here, number one, I date it, and then I put in there, it just popped into my head. And then how did you know this was guidance? Well, it popped into your head. You knew it. You knew it when it came through. It wasn't anything else. It was just clean and clear, and it was obvious, and it was sharp and instant. And then you write it down, then you ask yourself, how did it feel? Now the reason, even though this was obvious, it's in hindsight now, you know how it played out. You still want to ask yourself, how did it make you feel the minute it came through? Did you feel like, I could be an idiot and make a big thing out of nothing when it could be nothing? Of course it was something. And You need to write down what the truth was about how that felt to you the moment it came through. Were you worried about maybe what somebody would think of you if you brought it up? If you said anything about it? If you called home and said, Dad, are you okay? And then he'd say something like, no, your mom, your mom's not okay. Get home right away. And then he'd say maybe later, why did you call me? And wonder about that. Maybe you just would never answer him on that. Say, I don't know, I just had a feeling, and leave it at that. Write down, though, you need to write down how it felt. So did she say how it felt in here?
No, she didn't. Yeah.
I'm waiting for you to say how that felt, because that finishes, this is a 4-part process, the 4 qualifying questions, all right? So you wrote it down, you got the guidance. How did it make you feel? We need to see what you write in the feed. The moment it came through, not now, but the moment it came through, Kimberly.
Yeah, how did it make you feel in that moment?
In that instance. Okay, you can't jump forward. You've got to remember how that felt when it originally came through.
Right.
And Ray's looking for your answer.
And Susan joined us from Nova Scotia.
Susan, nice to have you, Susan.
She was with us last night, too. Susan's new.
We're talking about...
We're glad you're with us.
Yes. And we're talking about the 4 qualifying questions that always provide clarity. And we're using My Guided Journey, part 3 of My Guided Journey, to walk you through this process. Right now, Kimberly's the one that's moving us through it. Ray moved us through it first.
Yeah, and if you don't have My Guided Journey, it's the companion workbook journal to Guided.
Right.
Guided is how Linda's life played out. This is how your life played out, because what you're going to do, what you're going to realize when you get to be 40, 50, 60 years old is that you learned a lot of things that were wrong when you were a little kid, which turned into belief systems that you based...
That blocked you ever since.
Right. You based those belief systems influenced all your decision making from that point on, from the point you learned them. And we're not blaming anybody that you learned the wrong thing, because your parents and society taught it to you just like they taught the previous generation and the previous generation, so they didn't know any better. But now you have a way to go backwards through your life and find out why you keep making the same wrong decisions about this or that, relationships or jobs or anything, and unwind it.
It's like a knee-jerk response, something you can't seem to stop yourself from doing. And this is why you have to take the journey back. That's part 2 Ray was talking about. We're working in part 3 today, where we're talking about the 4 qualifying questions that always provide clarity. And we're still looking for Kim's response. Is Kim still with us, Ray?
Yeah.
Okay. We're looking for that response about how that felt at the time.
There she is. Well, she fears her mother's death a lot. So when she got that information, she thought maybe something could be wrong with her mom. Her dad needs help.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's what she felt.
Okay, and then what did you realize? That's the 3rd qualifying question. What did you realize as soon as it came through, and what you felt? Now that you've got all that information about what happened and how it felt, what did you realize?
Did she realize something before she got home, or did she realize something after she got home?
That's a good question. That's a question to answer. Did you realize it? Did you just discard the guidance and didn't realize what it was until a little bit later? Just tell what you realized.
Yeah, and your dad told you what happened.
Right. And we're waiting for that response.
And Susan doesn't have the journal yet, but it's a great investment.
Yeah, Susan, you need to get this. Do you have Guided? I want to ask you that first, Susan. This is the first book you want to get, because this is about how it works, okay? Answer that, and then I'll take it from there.
Okay. Yeah, you mentioned
There we
something
go. You got it.
a little while ago. Kimberly says that when I got home, my father told me what happened, then I made the connection. Then she made the connection to the guidance.
Then you realized.
Right.
Okay.
That's what it was about.
Okay. And the action that you took, what was the action you took? When you got the guidance, did you go straight home? Or did you finish your shift where you were working or your grocery shopping, whatever you were doing, and then come home? What did you do?
Yeah.
Did you act on it right away? Or how did you take action on that? Okay, let us know. We're looking for the answer in the feed.
Okay, so going back to the thing you said before, the taking action part. When do you take action? How long do you sit around and think about it before you take action? Well, you shouldn't. You should do something, even though it's a small something, to move in the direction of the guidance that day.
Okay, here's the first action you're going to take. You have to have the journal. All right. The first action you take is write down, answer the questions about first, where did you get the guidance, and date it, and check the box that applies. Then answer, how did you get this guidance? How did you know this guidance came from us, your spirit guides and angels? Check the box that applies and describe it. Then write it down. That's the first action you take. And I'm going to say this over and over again. Until you guys get used to writing it down and seeing it on the page, you're not going to even remember it. So how can you take action on something that you can't even remember 5 minutes from now? You've got to take the first action you have to take when you start learning to do this is to use this journal, identify what it is in part 1 and 2, and go to 3 and write down what that is. So did either...
Kimberly said she just went about her day and then she went home.
Okay, so you didn't take the action right away.
Right.
You got the guidance though, and you remembered it. Okay, but if it was, you know, it was a critical situation. It could have been critical, and it was a delayed action.
Right.
Okay, but you know what? Today, Kimberly, I don't know if it'd be delayed. I don't know if that came through to you, that type of thing came through to you, that you would delay it at all. You would know, hey, this came through. It's time, action. The sooner you take the action, the more valid the guidance, okay? And Kimberly, write all that down in your journal about what we covered today. This is really important because this is a baseline for how you work with this part 3 of My Guided Journey, okay? The journal writing part of it.
Yeah, I think Kimberly is coming along a lot faster than most people. But when I look back, and when you get to that action-taking part,
right,
that's where a lot of people have a problem, because taking action requires making a decision, a small one, a big one. And what I feel gets in the way of most people making a decision is, what are people going to say or think about them once they make that decision?
That's right. Ray's right. Or what are you going to think about yourself? Am I all there?
Or if you don't, what are you going to think about yourself if you don't make a decision? If
you don't, and something happens and you could have prevented it.
Yeah. Ouch. Yeah. This is just this whole process of the 4 questions and writing it down, the 4 questions, is to get you to the point where you feel comfortable about making the decision.
This is true. The process is really important, though, because it's a check and balance. You write it down. How did it make you feel? What did you realize? Now you can take the action because you're fortified with all the information you need to move on it. If you hadn't done all that, you'd be questioning yourself. You'd be doubting yourself. You'd be wondering, am I just making this stuff up, or that kind of thing. So this is why moving through this process is so important. It's how you're going to master yourself. When you do that, when you master this connection you have with your guides is a byproduct of all that. You don't have to go out and look for your guides. It's a matter of following through on this and perfecting this. And that has to do with the connection that you make to your spirit guides and angels, because they're the ones feeding this to you.
Right. You didn't think all those brilliant ideas just popped in my head because I thought them up.
Right. You've got to be, if you want to be self-reliant, this is how, really self-reliant, this is how you do it. So,
okay, so Kimberly said, she just went about her day, but now that was Monday, and she would now take action more quickly.
I know you
knowing
would.
what she knows.
There's no question about it, okay? So that's how this, tonight's, the 4 qualifying questions that always provide clarity. I mean, always. So you walk through your life and you go, God, I'm so confused. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to think. I don't know who to believe. I don't know, someone's lying to me. I don't know. Yes, you do too. Yes, you do. Start using your journal. Start with part 3 and start writing down what's coming to you. If you wonder about all those things I just said, who's lying to me? Can I believe anybody? What's going on? Write it all down. Where's this coming from? It's coming from me. Okay, so when you wrote it down and it came from you, how did this make you feel? Awful. And what did you realize? That I'm disconnected. I need to get connected. And what action did you take? I wrote it down. I told about the part of me that's dysfunctional that I want to work out, that I want to get this right. I don't want to suffer like this anymore. I don't want to walk through life like I've got blinders on and I can't see where I'm going. Because that's how you've been living your life, you guys. If you haven't been following through on these 4 qualifying questions and writing down what's going on with you, you'll never become conscious. And therefore, you'll never be connected. And the guidance that comes through, you'll miss it every time. It's about not missing it. Go ahead, Ray.
All right, so Kimberly says, yeah, I remember all through my life, I've been getting messages from my guides and I didn't listen. And then after it happened, I realized why I was given the direction in the first place. I say to myself, I wish I had listened to that little voice in my head. You never want that little voice in your head to say, see, I told you so.
By the way, your guides will never do that.
No.
A person will do that.
Yeah.
But your guides would never treat you with disrespect. Never.
The fact that
no matter what you have or have not done in this lifetime, never.
The fact that you acknowledge that you have a voice in your head means you're talking to somebody.
Yeah.
And they're talking back.
That you're not alone.
You are never alone.
So did Susan answer us? Okay.
Nope.
Okay. So what we're going to do, this is how we use this book. And in fact, we're going to be using this system Saturday in live with people right there with us, okay, that are going to learn how this works. This is all about you. It's, you guys could go to psychics and you could go to mediums and you could have us channel the information for you in a coaching session, and we do lots of them, all right? And that's fine and that's good. But what I've been guided to do in my life is to help the ones who can be reached, help the ones who really want to make this connection, okay, and get their life back together and be able to make a good, solid decision and move on it, act on it, okay, because you came here. If you don't take this journey, if you don't put your life back together again and heal that past, that's part 2. We work in part 3 where we are right now, but I'm going to move you guys into part 2 as we move through this process each week. As you get stronger from part 3, as you realize where you are right now, where you are, it's like you have to know where you are as a baseline to even begin to start going back into part 2 and going, I'm ready to tackle it. And the things in part 3 that I see that have come to light bring up chapter blah, blah, blah in part 2, chapter 8. Chapter 8 is caution. When you first became cautious, okay? You think, well, every kid goes through that. Yeah, but is that a good thing? Do they just all go through it and just say, they just all go through it? Well, something happened there. And in this life, that something that happened there limits you, okay, until you've solved what that is and see what happened, how it made you feel, what you realized, and the action you would take now on that, okay? Then it's dissolved. That can't have the power over you it used to have. The only way it can get back in and start playing out again is if you stop using your journal, part 3, and talking about where you are, what you're realizing, the insights you're getting, how it made you feel, what you realized, what action you take. And if you see that caution thing come up now in your life after you worked through it and you see it present itself again, you go, oh, I know that. I remember where it stopped me out. I remember how it stopped me out, who did it, okay, and what I assumed from that situation, how it struck me before I had a chance to even think about it, to reason it with more clarity, okay? It just scared you, okay? And you got stuck in that fear. Until that fear is released, you'll see it show up again just to test you. But you'll remember what you went through. You have written it in your journal. You go back and review those pages and go, okay, I see where my tendencies are. And here in my life right now, I will not fall back into that trap. I will make a better decision.
Yep.
Because you'll have the power to do it. Otherwise, you're not powered to do it, you guys. You're still stuck in the past. All right?
Yeah, for anybody who's watching tonight or watching the replay, you really do need to read Guided first, because Guided is all about how you make the connection.
It's how I lived it. It's why I know this, and it's what caused me to write this journal, my guided journey and my journal writing. It's what caused me to do it, because I had so many people, and still do, have so many people coming at me, Linda, after reading your book, I know I have guides. I know they've been trying to connect with me. But what am I missing? That's why I wrote it. It's the companion journal to Guided, my guided journey.
And a workbook. This is her journey. This is your journey.
Right.
And it's, you notice on these books, there's little feet that go backwards like this. They're walking that way, because that's where you take the journey back through your life to find out where all these sticking points are. And then my journal writing, the little feet are going the other way, because this is your future.
Going forward.
Going forward.
Now that you're able to go forward, okay, because you've worked it out.
So, Guided is available in Kindle, paperback, and audiobook.
And I read the book, all right?
No, you narrated the book. I read the book.
Yeah.
After you wrote it. In fact, I was the first one.
You were the first, Ray.
I know.
And these little journals, the My Guided Journey and My Journal Writing, are only available in paperback, of course, because you write in them. They're journals, okay? And there's really nothing else out there like it. My Guided Journey also has the support MP3s and videos that go with each chapter of part 2, chapter 1 through 18. So that really helps you, and I suggest that you watch the video associated with each chapter, and you'll find the URL in the book before you take on the chapter in part 2.
Yeah, it's not just about buying a book and start writing in it.
No.
There's what, 18 or 19 hours of videos and MP3s to support your journey going back.
And what it does is it gets you in the right mindset, so that when you write in part 2 about what happened back there, when you start to reveal what happened back there, you're not writing it from that hurt child's perspective. You're looking at it like almost like it happened to someone else. You're looking at it objectively, so you can really identify exactly what happened there and what's hanging you up.
Okay.
All right.
So what exciting things are coming up tomorrow?
Tomorrow. Yeah. We're going to, well, first of all, Ray, I want to talk about next week. I've got to move into that, and then we'll talk about what we're doing tomorrow. Okay, so next week, what we're going to talk about regarding the guided journal writing system, that's going to be September 11th, 2019, Wednesday, right here on my Facebook page, Linda Deir Author at 6 p.m. Pacific time. We're going to be talking about higher learning. This is another aspect of you when you were younger, another aspect of you that you may not identify with this, but this is exactly what happened. This higher learning happened in the experimental stage of your life, a time when your desire to know was at an all-time high. You were open to everything. However, the demands of being in just this world were constantly interrupting your learning and playtime, the bliss of following your relentless curiosities. Everyone came in with this ability. It felt natural. In fact, it felt so natural that you thought it was all coming from you. The reason it felt that way was because of this connection you still had to everyone who stayed behind, your spirit guides and angels. Everything was just real easy for you. That brings me back to this point. You hear me say it all the time. I'm going to say it again. This life is not supposed to be hard. Imagine that. It's the people in this world that believed it was so hard. And it was hard for them because they were severed from their connection. Of course it was hard. It was terribly hard. And they were so frightened for you that they overdid it, okay? And they frightened you, just like they were frightened, okay? And they just thought, well, that's just how you do it. They never knew any difference, all right? So this is the higher learning part where when I talk about it next week and I trigger those parts in you, you guys are going to remember this. You're going to go, oh my God, I was a genius. Yes, you were. You were absolutely a genius. It's time to bring the genius back into the picture, okay? That's what this is about. So that's next Wednesday. Oh, and next Wednesday. Next Wednesday is going to be really special because we're going, before we start the session on Wednesday, what are we going to do, Ray?
Well, you know, the people coming, a lot of people are coming to your live event this weekend on location in Phoenix if they live nearby. And some of them who don't live nearby might drive 2 hours and 45 minutes to get it. But other ones around the world, there's a lot of people around the world in the Netherlands and Germany and Canada and Australia and all over the place who have signed up to watch it live via the internet stream.
We're going to be streaming it live on the internet as well.
Right.
Okay.
And one of those people, those lucky people who watch it on the internet stream, is going to win a free coaching session with you.
Right.
$110 value.
So what we're going to do is at the beginning of the session, we're going to have the spirit guides pick the winner, okay? And we've got quite a few people signed up right now, okay? So we're not exactly sure how it's going to go, but there may be many, many, many people, but they know who's really. It's not that everybody doesn't need guidance, but they're going to pick the one that they feel that really needs this, you know, that they're going to help right now. Remember, this is the guides helping you guys, okay? They know exactly what you need when you need it. And they're brilliant communicators, as Kimberly, as you already know. Okay, so that's going to be next Wednesday. Now, tomorrow, September 5th at 6 p.m. Pacific time, join us on our Facebook secret group. It's called Ask the Universal Channel. Ask the Universal Channel. The students will be performing using Ask the Universal Channel. These 3 students will be performing the following. Joy's spirit guides are going to explain why some people are resistant to receiving energy healings, clearings, and blessings. Veronica's spirit guides will talk about why boundaries make for and help you stay on your soul's path going home. Kathy's spirit guides will discuss how listening to your guides and following their guidance will give you inner peace. And that is an understatement. That's the benefits of doing this, you guys. And of course, Ray and I will host the event tomorrow night, again, 6 p.m. Pacific time, on our secret Ask the Universal channel group. If you want to join the group, Ray posted the link for you to request to join the group, and he'll send you the instructions to get in, because it's private, it's intimate, it's a group of soul-driven, like-minded students of Ask the Universal channel, and they are exceptional. And by the way, they do free lessons each week on that secret group, free lessons teaching you how to do this. Ray and I spent a year teaching them how to do this, and they're really good at it. And we taught them this right over the internet, okay? And that's how they're going to be teaching you, right from the comfort of your home. So don't miss it. And, you know, this is going to be, they do it every other week where we do it with them, but they do the lessons every week on, it's Wednesdays they do them, yeah, on the group. So don't miss that, okay? Do we have anything else, Ray?
No, we're all set.
Okay, you guys. So don't miss Saturday, this coming Saturday. We won't be here. We will be live on location
On the other side of town.
in Phoenix, Arizona at Storm Wisdom from 1 to 3 p.m. Pacific time. Of course, we're here in Arizona, and right now we're still on Pacific time. And you can sign up for it by going to my website, lindadeir.com. Click on live events, and you'll see Storm Wisdom at the top. Click there. It'll take you right to the page where you can sign up, either online or attend right there on location with us in Phoenix, Arizona.
I'll be there.
I'll be there. Okay, you guys. And we'll see you next Tuesday, maybe tomorrow, and Wednesday. So we're going to have the guides close the session. And thank you for not forgetting that, Ray.
Oh, how could I forget that? I ordered all that extra stuff.
See, he's got a pretty good memory going here. So this is, the guides are going to close the session about tonight's session, which was the 4 qualifying questions that always provide clarity when you use your journal.
Everyone is born with a desire to know, feel, experience, and to take action. This is a cycle of learning that starts when you were born and continues throughout your life. Anything you don't get to learn in this lifetime will be shown to you in the next.
So it's really okay if you don't get it this time. It's just, in my opinion, this is just my world. The most painful part of this life for me has been the part where it's taken longer. Okay. I'd rather learn this stuff. Just let's do this. Let's write the book, okay? Let's teach the people that can be reached, okay? They told me and have told me over and over again, you will help the ones who can be reached. Don't worry about the rest. They may be ready in this lifetime. They may not be. Okay. I don't worry about the rest. Just like my family. They told me that my family won't get it this time. They'll get it in another lifetime. So I'm not going to sit around feeling guilty. And by the way, that's just nonsense. That's this world, and it's programming on you. That's how it makes you feel you should feel, but it's not the truth. I don't feel guilty about them. I don't feel bad for them. They're going to get it at some point. I know that, okay? It's not my job. My job is to help other people, the ones who can be reached,
Once we were ready.
the ones who are ready. Right.
Right.
So, and it's also, it comes down to when you get this guidance, here's another thing about the guidance. When you get the guidance that you get, sometimes, you know, this guidance, it has many times has to do with yourself. And many times you just, it's better if you keep the guidance to yourself. Keep it to yourself, but write it down. I spent my whole life, I didn't tell my story until I was 62 years old. Really? 62? Linda? But I wrote it down. I kept the guidance to myself. I acted on the guidance. I knew it was guidance because I did this. I started, by the way, I started journal writing when I was 7 years old because I had all of these paranormal experiences going on. That's a photograph I took of my spirit guide in 1994. But I'd seen him since I was 20 months old. I had all these paranormal experiences going on. I couldn't talk to anybody about it. My only way to understand it was to ground it into this world by writing it down. The only way. That's why I know this works. Okay? So you guys, we will see you Thursday, Saturday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Oh my God,
Wow.
We're busy. All right, you guys, have a great night.
Thanks for being with us tonight. Be careful and be kind.
Good night.